back online. Now we have 2 sections. All right. It's been one of those days. You ever had a Tuesday that feels like a Monday? That's today. So Albrecht von Wallenstein. He doesn't look menacing at all, right? Like, I wouldn't be scared to fire that guy.
He's got them puppy dog
Oh. All right. So now we're into the third phase. If you want to put a big number 3, we are into the Swedish phase. So we had the Bohemian phase, Catholics come out on top. We have the Danish phase, Catholics come out on top. Now we have the Swedish phase. So people start to see this, and they're like, oh, Protestants, we should come help. Like, we should come in and help them. Like, look what the Catholics are doing. We got a lot of Protestants here, and they're getting a lot of power. And what would happen if the Holy Roman Empire was all united under one religion again? Yeah, that is too much for us to battle in Europe, so we don't want that to happen. So we're going to see in the Swedish phase, France and Sweden are now going to get involved. They're going to come kind of to the aid. They're going to try to liberate territory lost in the previous Danish phase.
Wait, so how, like, what's the sovereignty for like, Sweden and all of those, like, Scandinavian countries been like for this time period? Like, are they all sovereign, like,
Yes.
the same now as they are now?
Not the same.
Sweden has been.
Yeah.
Sweden was
Yeah.
a lot bigger, actually.
Not the same, but they are much more sovereign than like the Holy Roman Empire. So we're going to see that we don't get to come back to Sweden. We get to come back now and maybe between World War I and World War II-esque. But we really don't get to talk too much.
Nothing goes down?
Well, it's not that nothing goes down. It's just that they just kind of stay with their sovereignty and kind of stay off the major grid of turning points. Remember, we're only going to hit like causes, effects, and huge turning points. And they just happen to like not slide into a lot of those themes for us. Unfortunately, it's not that I got to try to ignore them. So we're going to see help comes in from the Swedish. Also, you might put a little question mark here next to French. What religion are the French primarily? Catholic. So they're coming in to help the Protestants. We've talked about the Huguenots are Protestant in France, but they're not really in power as of yet. So why Sadie, would the French be here helping out?
because they don't want the Holy Roman Empire to unify.
Very good. They don't want anything about this area to unify. Their number one guiding foreign policy for France, you need to know, is to prevent the unification of the Holy Roman Empire or what will become later Germany. Okay, they're preventing this until the 1800s. So this is bigger to them. This is bigger to them than their religion. Okay, trying to keep the Holy Roman Empire down is bigger to them than any ideology, than any religion. Okay, so now we are going to get both wanting to stop Habsburg power. Sweden is going to lead the charge, and France is going to boot the buck. So Sweden is going to lead with the troops. That's why we're talking about them here. And France is going to provide the support or the finances. And this is where we get Gustavus Adolphus. Yes, love. 1611 to 1632, the King of Sweden. He is going to lead an army that pushed Catholic forces back to Bohemia. His army has 100,000 men in it, backed by the French, subsidized by the French because of the foreign policy. The French are there. They kind of do this well through history and maybe not so well sometimes, but the French will put their money on whoever they kind of want to hold down. So like the friend of the enemy,
Yes.
yeah, along that line. I always mix, yeah. Yeah, the friend of my friend is my enemy. So, whatever. Whichever way it goes, I always say that one backwards. And then it never makes sense again. So, we're going to see Wallenstein is going to come back, but he had been let go. So, we're going to talk about that. And the Swedish advance will be able to be stopped. The Battle of Breitenfeld will be Gustav's only victory, ending the Habsburgs' hopes of reuniting Germany under Catholicism, but Gustavus is going to be killed in another battle in 1632. So I'm talking like when we get to talk for a second about Sweden, we get to talk for for just a second. So Gustavus Adolphus is going to push one great battle. The Protestants are finally going to be like, ooh, maybe we could win this. But it will end the Habsburg hopes of ever reuniting because it is that much victorious. So that's why he's here. That's why Sweden is here, because it was a turning point in these phases, because never after this point will the Holy Roman Empire be able to come back together under Catholicism, which is going to delay the unification of Germany until the 18th. Italy and Germany, poor ones, and then they get unified, and maybe all those other Europeans were right. It's not too long after unification, 1871, we end up in World War I. So I don't know, you
I
know.
was just thinking about the other day, like, for like the first, like, I don't know how many years, Germany, it just sucked to be German. You were just like,
Yeah.
oh, we got in one war, then we had to pay for it, then we got in another one, that one
Mhm.
worse.
Yeah, it's like the minute they got together, they're like, like, let's go, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know that it was a bad foreign policy. We'll have to go back, you guys, to decide in FRQs. So in response to this battle, the Holy Roman Emperor is going to annul the Edict of Restitution. We're going to see the annulment of the Edict of Restitution. The Swedish army will be completely defeated in 1634, so 2 years after Gustavus Adolphus is dead. And France now fears a resurgence of Catholicism in the Holy Roman Empire. Okay. So at first the Swedish have been winning. Now we have the France, though, who had footed the bill. So they know who might be on the next cutting board here. Did you have a question? Oh. Okay. Gustavus? I don't know the origin of his name originally. Gustavus, Swedish.
And also,
Yeah.
wait, so why did
Gustavo, maybe?
Why
Gustav
did the German
Adolphus.
princes fear Ferdinand?
Because of the waves he's causing against Protestantism. Catholicism has been pretty significantly winning in these phases, so he's still,
But Ferdinand is Catholic. though.
yeah. So the German princes, a lot of them are Protestant. Okay. And so what's going to happen is we're going to see the Swedish have been winning, France had come in, and this is going to bring us back to France. So we're in back to Wallenstein. So Swedish phase, there's my little map, Going for, oh, there's Gustavus riding in to save the day. And throw some pictures in there. And then we had the France in the background, but now that Gustavus is gone and the Swedish are gone and they've been defeated in 1634, we have what is known as the French phase, and this is our fourth and final phase. So you see France and Sweden switch roles. Now France is going to be doing the fighting, okay, rather than just being in the background. 1635 to 1648. This is all countries in Europe participating. So long before World War I, this is called an international phase of the 30 Years' War, where we have all countries in Europe participated in pretty much some way or the other, whether financially or fighting. This phase will be our most destructive phase. And where are we fighting all of these phases? Yeah, the Holy Roman Empire, what will later become Germany. German towns will be decimated. Agriculture is going to collapse, resulting in famine, so that's never any bueno, because you know when people are hungry, then they get sick more easily. 8 million will be dead, 1/3 of the population. So we're going to go from 21 million individuals in the Holy Roman Empire, what would it be later Germany in 1618, to 13.5 million in 1648. Massive inflation. See, yeah, this will be like a repeating pattern we see after an international war in Germany. I know. They weren't even Germany yet. They were just the Habsburg Spain, yeah. Give you guys a second there, then we'll talk about who is in charge in France and how we end all of this craziness after 4 phases. thought I put that picture. I think I actually did take it out because I was like, I will not put a picture of a video game here just to prevent future harm. We'll have to go back and look at it. It's just so 30 years war. It wasn't that good?
Yeah, it's like 6-bit.
And-
Hey.
hey,
Yeah, it's terrible.
welcome to the technology of my early generation.
And it doesn't, it's from what the caption they had from it doesn't make any sense because it said you're weapons of mass destruction. This country
Hey,
dreams.
I didn't say it was a great, I just said it existed. All right. Oh, there's a chart if you do want to see the loss of German lives in 30 years war. I have a tendency when I'm making PowerPoints to go out and find all of these cool statistical charts, and then I'm like, oh, that doesn't, you know. But so you can see in the highest ranking areas here of loss where most of the fighting was going on. See, like Sweden coming in, so you're gonna have a lot of loss of life here. And so that's the breakdown of population loss. All right. So how are we gonna get out of this crazy thing? Well, during the French phase, Cardinal Richelieu, which we're going to come back to when we get to Mr. Louis, is going to be, in our upcoming unit, he is going to be a cardinal serving under our now Bourbon kings in France. But we're going to see that they're going to ally with the Protestant forces to defeat the Holy Roman Empire, as it had occurred in the earlier Habsburg-Valois wars. This is because Wallenstein is going to turn on the Holy Roman Empire and will be assassinated for it. So we have all of this kind of coming to an end. Just some side notes here. But Richelieu's policies during this French phase of the war, where Wallenstein comes in, the Holy Roman Empire is defeated by the Protestant forces of France, is going to bring paramount diplomatic concerns as political, not religious. And so we're going to come back to this with absolute monarchy in France and what that means to put your ideals more on power than on a religion. And this is why the 30 Years' War is our last religious war. Had the Habsburgs been able to win in Germany, France would have been confronted with a more powerful German state on its eastern border. So the French phase is the only phase of the 30 Years' War that the Protestants win. And it is because a very Catholic France supports them. And we're not going to get into all of these names here and all of the events because we have to come back to Cardinal Richelieu. Anybody know who Cardinal Richelieu served under? Anybody remember from World? Little Mr. Louis. Not quite there. 14. So we're going to get to absolute monarchy. But so we're going to see phase 1. Who won?
You may.
Phase 1 of the 30 Years' War. Who won? Catholics. Phase 2. Catholics. Phase 3. Okay. Phase 4. Led by the French. Okay. Pretty much it. I had to give you a lot of background just to get to all of that. So the Peace of Westphalia is really a treaty. This is kind of going to finally end this 30 Years' War and our religious wars in Europe. This is another key date. So we've had 1517, which is the 95 Theses, and we had 1555, which was the Peace of Augsburg, which we just crushed today. And that's why we have to add Westphalia, because it's the new treaty. And then we had 1558, Spanish Armada. And now we have 1648.
Wasn't the Spanish Armada?
1588, yeah. 1648. So it's our final key date for this unit. And so political provisions of the Peace of Westphalia. So how we come to peace. We are going to see that Richelieu, our cardinal in France, was a politique, just like Henry IV, just like Elizabeth I. He is going to be our third politique, and he's going to very craftily create this Peace of Westphalia that will end the 30 Years' War. It is a renewal of the Peace of Augsburg, but they are going to add Calvinism as a politically accepted faith. So now we have Catholicism, Lutheranism, and Calvinism. All this fighting for 30 years to add Calvinism in. In effect, this will end the Catholic Reformation in Germany. So that means we are going to end that Catholic pushback in Germany. And it will do exactly what France and Cardinal Richelieu wanted. It will guarantee that it'll guarantee, because of France, that Germany stays divided till the 1800s. Okay, so that's a pretty significant feat. Each German prince will become free from any kind of control by the Holy Roman Emperor, which is going to weaken the Holy Roman Empire. The United Provinces, the Dutch Netherlands, will become officially independent. Yay. Go to Deutschland. So the southern part remained.
Germany.
No, I said Dutch.
Yeah.
Dutch.
You said it
Dutch.
like you would.
I didn't say my pronunciations were great. You guys have heard me pronounce Italian.
You sounded like a German.
Oh. Yay!
Germany.
No, so the Dutch Netherlands. So the northern part, remember we talked about the south remained a Spanish possession. France is going to receive most of the German-speaking province of Alsace. We will come back to Alsace several times. It is on the border there in France, and we're going to see it go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, especially as we get towards the end of the year.
Who's it with
Okay.
now? Is it with France?
The French right now. Treaty of Westphalia with the French right
I'm
now.
talking like recent years, like now. Now it's with France, right?
Yeah.
If they speak
Because they've traded, yes, hands so many times. Sweden is going to get lands in northern Germany on the Baltic and Black Sea coast for their contribution during the Swedish phase and for their financial support during the French phase. Switzerland is going to become totally independent of the Holy Roman Emperor, and we're going to see the Swiss Confederation. So some things going on, side notes here.
So does that form its own sovereign country at that point?
Yes, it will become sovereign at this point.
Wow.
Gain their independence from Spanish rule, the Spanish Habsburgs losing power here. The Swiss Confederation. We'll see some changes as we move through Switzerland, but they are breaking free of the Habsburgs. Sweden is going to win a voice in the Diet of the Holy Roman Empire for their participation. There's a lot of things. Brandenburg is going to get important territories on the Northern Sea.
Shut up.
It's future Prussia, so we're going to see the rise of Prussia here. Brandenburg is going to become Prussia. So we have Sweden, Brandenburg, Switzerland gaining some freedoms, gaining some things here. Everybody good? Yes, ma'am.
Are we going to be able to know, like, oh, this section, who got it, if that would be piece of Australia, like that kind of specific details about it?
No. What I would go here is if it becomes included as a religion. I would put in here that the Netherlands, the northern Netherlands, are going to be separated, become officially independent. That Alsace is going to come into France's hands.
All the sauce?
All of the sauce. Sweden is going to gain territory. Switzerland is going to gain freedom. Brandenburg, which becomes Prussia's on the rise. So you don't need to know the specifics, but it's good to know who's kind of coming into power here. So Brandenburg is going to be Prussia. We're going to see Prussia rise. Sweden, you remember good old Adolphus, and know that they're going to get some benefits from fighting in the third and fourth phase. Religious provisions. So that's political provisions, religious provisions. Calvinists could have the same privileges as the Lutherans had in the Peace of Augsburg. This is important. This whole war was over religion, so more than just some new territory lines that are going to change, you need to know that Calvinism is now allowed as a choice. So religious provisions. The ruler of each state could determine its official religion, except in the hereditary lands of the Habsburgs. Okay, and must permit freedom of private worship. So remember, you could be in your home as long as you weren't bothering anybody, killing anybody. You can worship what you want.
So would be like an essay for this be trace the changes in acceptance of religion over time in certain areas? Is that a key thing that we really want to be able to trace?
Not as much trace as the effects of probably like the effects of the Peace of Westphalia on the acceptance. Tracing would be continuity and change over time essay, which would be more world than it would be AP. I would say that you could have possibly as an effort. I haven't used one in my classes because it's a pretty vast time span, but compare pre-Reformation Europe to post, just like the Middle Ages to Renaissance. That might be something, and then you would...
So basically just like from Catholicism to a bunch of different ones?
Yeah, to the extent of change. That would be a great place to, pop in all of these wars of religion that wouldn't have happened without the Reformation. Something along those lines. Usually I like to choose, and I've seen in AP, it goes more with an individualistic, like analyze the role and effectiveness of religious policy under this ruler, such as like Henry I or Elizabeth I or Henry IV, kind of examining their ideological or
So what rulers are do we really need to know?
rulers from
Like the names, just like...
right now in this
Yeah.
30 Years War.
Well, no, not as much of that as I mean like the entire, like the Protestant Reformation.
Oh, with kings?
Yeah.
So you're not going to need to specifically remember all of the popes. You will need to know, like Pope Alexander VI is going to be the one that's most examined for the grievances. You will want to know Henry IV, Henry of Navarre, from the last lecture, because he's the most important French king up to this point, and we'll start absolutism. Elizabeth I, Mary,
Mary.
Bloody
Queen
Mary,
Scott, or,
not the Queen of Scots yet. Bloody Mary, of course, Henry VIII.
Right.
You are also going to need, let's see, Ferdinand III. Gustavo Adolphus, of course, because the Swedish phase is turning the tide. Trying to think all the way back to Unit 1. Who else we're going to need to know?
But wasn't Sweden Catholic at that point?
We've had a lot of Protestantism
Okay.
go into the northern state. Yeah, they don't stay nearly as Catholic. Our only Catholic, France, is one of them that's slipping off our list. Italy, the southern part at least, is going to be staying very Catholic. We have, of course, the English Reformation has caused England not so much to be. Yep, and then Richelieu, although not a ruler, is serving for a ruler that we just talked about. You need to know he's a politique. I said Elizabeth I, right? Henry IV, Richelieu, King Henry VIII, Mary, Bloody Mary, Adolphus. Yeah, it's the most fun name. So here is the gathering for the Treaty of Westphalia, which is the city. So they're in Westphalia here, captured. Here's another, yes?
I was gonna say my dad's name is Gustavus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
After Gustavus Adolphus, or just in, like, coincidentally, Gustavus? Oh, well, that's awesome. Well, you can say that that is like the one memory of Sweden we have until the end of the year. your catch, Gustavus. All right, so map, redrawing, boundaries, France, Alsace being included, the lands that Sweden got. So Sweden and Finland here. So territory exchanging hands. You don't have to memorize that map. But nobody is happy. Okay. Many Protestants are going to feel betrayed by this. That there wasn't a more inclusive list. I mean, just Calvinism is given, and they're still going to have just private worship. So they're still kind of second-class citizens, plus all of the lands that were taken from them back to the Catholics and the churches that were destroyed. The Pope is going to denounce the Treaty of Westphalia. He has been denied the right to intervene in Holy Roman Empire's affairs, so he's not happy with that. So he just denounces the whole thing as if it didn't happen or it doesn't count. So in the eyes of Catholics, then it shouldn't count. The only really merit to it, other than it's a turning point, and we're going to see Calvinism added in, is that it ended fighting in a war that had become intolerable. It really is going to end the religious wars here, but we're going to continue fighting about power. For the next few centuries, this war will be blamed for everything that went wrong in Central Europe. It really does set up the foreign policy of France and Germany not to be 100% buddies here. It's going to leave a bad taste in the Holy Roman Empire, what will become Germany's mouth. about foreign affairs and intervention and intervening. It has caused some confusion with Catholics supporting Protestants in warfare. So we're seeing more politique than we are ideological concerns. We're going to see that Germany's going to be physically devastated. The Habsburg branches are weakened. We'll never see the Holy Roman Empire at its strength again. 20 years later, it will be gone. 1806, and so it's going to be that final nail in the coffin for the Holy Roman Empire. Germany will be further divided. However, it ends the wars of religion, and it's going to begin, I think I put this in here, the long-range effects of the 30 Years' War. It's going to begin the rise of France. Okay, so we start to see France come to the center of power here, which is going to be really cool when we get into our absolutism Europe. But Europe's going to keep an eye on France. So France stopped with its foreign policy the growing power of the Holy Roman Empire, but we are going to see that France is going to be looked at a little critically later for wanting to advance, and we'll get to that right through up till we kill Mr. Napoleon. We're also going to see that England is going to continue to rise. The Netherlands are now, so they're going to start to rise, and Prussia is going to come on the scene for us. Yeah, Prussia. So we'll get into all of that. And so then we still have Bourbons as our king, so we're going to be getting into that next. All kinds of fun stuff coming up. But the Holy Roman Empire, you can pretty much kiss goodbye 20 years from today, 1806. So we definitely saw that the number one thing of the 30 Years' War is the loss of the Holy Roman Empire. It's going to keep Germany divided. It's going to rise France, Prussia, and the Netherlands for our next unit. And then I think I put in your study packet a memory device for the Treaty of Westphalia. It's called F-CHIP, EF-CHIP, C-H-I-P. And so it can help you remember the Treaty of Westphalia because the E, it ends wars of religion. F, France emerges as most powerful country. So E is end of wars of religion. F, France emerges as Europe's most powerful country. C, Calvinism added to Peace of August. H, Holy Roman Empire effectively destroyed. I, independence for Switzerland and Netherlands. And P, Prussia rises as a great power. So if you can remember F-CHIP, that is all of the decisions made in the Treaty of Westphalia all wrapped up into one. I wish I could give this presentation and just tell you those, but you have to have the background knowledge to understand the context, especially if you've had FRQ or DBQ on the 30 Years' War. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about the wars of religion, what they meant to Europe, what they mean to us moving forward? Anything?
The second, not put it in the third.
What?
Did we put it in the third?
We have a in the third today. Yeah.
I missed it. I'll look it up.
Oh, it's okay. I had the Roman numeral backed not correctly. All right, I'm going to end recording. Hopefully the mic